So first things first, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you had a nice quiz. Any other questions about the quiz that I missed? Okay. Okay. So today we are going to talk about divide and conquer algorithms. Last time we talked about algorithms that were iterative, something similar to this thing where our time complexity of a number n was essentially an additive approach where we were adding up all the numbers 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. And so essentially we were talking about iterative algorithms. But today we are going to talk about divide and conquer algorithms, that is recursive algorithms where your function calls itself in order to solve and break down your problem into smaller and smaller components. And once you break down your problem into smaller components, it becomes a bit more trivial to solve rather than the entire problem as a whole. So if we remember this particular statement, that was T of n was the time complexity, where the time complexity was the summation of I, where I was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, all the way to n, right? So if that is the case, can let's see if someone remembers, what would be the time complexity, or how would I find the time complexity without any recurrence relations? How would I find the time complexity of this particular equation, that is T of n equals to sum of I 0 to n I, arithmetic series? Perfect. So what would be the answer for this thing if I had 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way to n? Any takers? Perfect. Okay, so this, perfect, you guys are correct. This was the iterative formulation of our function. Now we are going to look at the same function, some function that takes this amount of time, but we are going to represent this function as a recurrence relation. So if you think about it, let's say that I'm currently at number 5, right, at I equals to 5. That basically means all the numbers before it is going to be 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Right. So that can also be represented as T of 4, right? Because T of 4 is going to be 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. And then we add another number that is 5, that makes it into T of 5, right? So if I just type this out, so T of 5 is going to be 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, let's say. But we know that for the same, with the same reasoning, T of 4 is going to be 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Then in that scenario, I can reformulate T of 5 as T of 4, that gives me all the summations before of 5 plus 5, right? So that I can then generalize this thing into a more recurrence relation, that is T of n equals to T of n minus 1 plus of n, right? That gives you the recurrence relation, that is T of n keeps on adding, and the only problem of the so the only small problem that we are bothered about is adding our current value of n to our function, and all of the smaller problems in this case becomes T of n minus 1. Assuming that T of n minus 1 takes some amount of time, whatever that amount of time is, add n to it, and that is the complexity of this particular equation, right? So that is what we mean when we say we are talking about recurrence relations, where our time complexity depends upon some smaller, depends upon the time complexity of some smaller subproblem, right? So in this particular situation, we have TFN equals to T of n minus 1 plus n, but that also means that we now need a base case. So in this particular situation, we can say that T of 5 equals to T of 4 plus of 5, but then we do need to find T of 4. That becomes T of 3 plus of 4, and T of 3 then becomes T of 2 plus of 1, and T of 2 becomes T of 1 plus of sorry, 1. Get a moment? Yeah. I had made a mistake. So T of 3 equals to T of 2 plus 3, T of 2 equals to T of 1 plus 2, and then T of 1 equals T of 0 plus 1. But what is T of 0? We can't just say T of minus 1, because that does not make sense, because we know that a negative n is not possible. That would be that would mean that running the algorithm increases the capacity of your computer, right? So T of -1 is not a thing. So in such cases, we need two things. One is the recurrence relation, and also what is the base case exactly. What is the base case for your particular recurrence relation? So in this case, our base case exactly, T of 0 is not 1. Abdul Rahman, if you check carefully, the base case would be when n equals to 0. If n equals to 0, then I equals to 0 to n becomes 0. Right? The summation of this entire thing becomes 0. So T of 0 in this particular equation is going to be T of 0 equals 0. Right? Does that make sense? And the base case changes depending upon the function. It is not always going to be 0, but in this particular situation, it is going to be 0. So our entire equation can now be represented with this recurrence relation, that is T of n equals to T of n minus 1 plus n, and then T of 0 equals to 0. Similarly, T of n equals to I0 to n a of I, a to the power of I is equivalent to T of n equals to T of n minus 1 plus a to the power of n. I'm just bothered about the current number of n, and then I'm just delegating the sub-problem task to some other recurrence function, that is T of n minus 1. So in this scenario, if I equals to 0, in that situation, a raised to the power of I is going to be 1, right? So in that case, our base case has to be T of 0 equals to 1, right? The recurrence base case. What is the complexity of a raised to the power of I? So a raised to the power of I is going to be 2 raised to the power of I, 3 raised to the power of I, some constant raised to the power of I, right, Matt? So in that case, if we just follow the complexity analysis for all n, let's see, yes, so 2 raised to the power of I, 3 raised to the power of I is going to be, since the R value or the constant value is greater than 2, in that situation, it is going to be 2 to the power of 0 plus 2 to the power of 1 plus 2 to the power of 2 plus 2 to the power of 3 and so on till 2 to the power of n, where n can go to infinity. So limit of that is what? Matt, any guesses? Can anyone guess what is going to be the complexity of a to the power of I?
I mean, the limit as n goes to infinity would be infinity, right?
Exactly, because this does not converge, right?
Right.
However, if a was less than 1, then it does converge, right? Then you apply your geometric series addition summation, right? If a is less than 1, then you apply your geometric summation of your, okay, so let's bring about the geometric series. So if in this scenario, if R is greater than 1, then in that scenario, it is going to be not infinity, but it is going to be some power, some exponential power of n, right? Because it is slowly going to converge to 2 to the power of n in case of 2 to the power of I, right? We had that with our sum of geometric series when we had so from 0 to n, what is the maximum that this particular value was? Yes, exactly. And but if I was, the R value was less than 1, in that scenario, you actually converge to a particular small number. So in one scenario, if you have R raised to the power of some particular I value when you're summing it up, you essentially end up with an exponential time complexity. If R is less than 1, you end up with a constant-ish time complexity. Make sense? Any questions about a to the power of I? Perfect. So the recursive definition of a particular function is more intuitive and easy to obtain because now you're thinking about a very trivial small problem and you're delegating your tasks into smaller and smaller sub problems, and you are assuming that those smaller sub problems are going to take care of the heavy load of that entire algorithm, and you are just bothered about that particular smaller problem. As we saw that any iterative function can be represented as a recurrence relation and vice versa as well, right? That also applies to our recurring functions as well. Okay, so now that we have these recurring functions, we now need some more tools in order to figure out and analyze the complexity of our algorithm. Initially, we had the arithmetic series and the geometric series, and they were all iterative algorithms, and I can then expand the series to figure out what the complexity was. But in this situation, since it's a recurrence relation, we need more and more tools to solve this thing. So essentially, we will talk about 3 tools in order to solve these recurrence relations. But before we do that, we are also going to look at how, given a particular program, how can we deduce what the recurrence relation of this program is. First, we will do that, and then we are going to talk about solving them. So in general, a recursive algorithm contains 3 things. One is divide the larger problem into a smaller problem or a bunch of smaller problems. Then conquer the problems in the sense that solve each of the smaller problems recursively, and then combine all of them together to get the final solution to the original problem. Right. We have seen recursive algorithms quite often before, and there are a lot of examples, but a few famous ones are your merge sort algorithms and your binary search and so on, right? Does anybody have any other examples of recursive algorithms except merge sort and binary search? No examples? Nobody knows any other? Fibonacci?
Can you say that again? Can you ask that question again?
Yes. Yes. So can you give me any other examples other than merge sort, binary search, and Fibonacci that are also recursive algorithms?
Recursive algorithms.
You can do quicksort recursively, correct?
Yes, quicksort. Okay, fine. I guess that's always remember that those are your algorithms, but anything that involves a tree will be best solved by a recursive algorithm. So essentially, you have your sort algorithms in general, heap sort, blast sort, all of those sorts. But also you have also other problems where you are looking in terms of a searching algorithm where you are sorting, and that is your searching, that is your binary search systems. But any algorithm in general can be written as a recursive algorithm, right? So Fibonacci can be written iteratively, and it can also be written as recursive solutions, right? So, okay.
Professor.
So now, yes.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know what the classical definition of the searches are called, but when you're doing gambling algorithms, like for horse races or anything in Vegas, you know, regarding the numbers, those are largely recursive algorithms.
Yep.
But I don't know what to call them or how to classify them.
Because recursive algorithms have 2 benefits, right? First things first, it becomes easier to analyze the complexity of an algorithm, because now you're only looking at a smaller trivial problem that your entire large problem is trying to solve, right? And the second thing is it relates to your complexity analysis, but it also relates to debugging your code, because now you have a much smaller code and you know that your entire function call is going to be encapsulated into one stack space. Each time you call a new function, basically the same function, it creates a copy of the function variables and stack space and keeps on going forwards. That makes it easier to analyze what the problem was, compared to if we just used a for loop. Then you would not know where the error, at which I the error might have occurred that resulted in the error down the line. So it also is better for coding, but again, remember that recursive solutions might be fast, but recursive solutions also are quite redundant, right? Just take the example of Fibonacci, right? So as one says, Fibonacci is a recursive algorithm, and we know that it is. But I don't know if many of you know, but can someone tell me what is the time complexity? I mean, not the time complexity yet, but if I had a Fibonacci algorithm that computed